Right, Shalom, Yaniva, praise on and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone, GMS will do rule and teach well. I'm on timesisrael.com. Catholic born Peruvian villager, led hundreds to Jewish conversion in Israel, right? The prophet Anades, author Graciela Meshkovsky, well, she's an Amalekite, I'm probably not gonna read the whole article. I'm gonna read it just enough to get you a gist. Documents unlikely trail of Segundo Villanueva, whose relations and efforts brought the Inca Jews to the Promised Land, right? And these are Asherites. It's funny how in the spirit they got them laughing and things like that, because Asher means happy, right? And we'll just start here, and then I'm just going to get a few precepts, and then I'm just going to close it off. I don't want this to be too long. I don't want to rant and waste your time. And honestly, you can read the article for yourself. It's a pretty interesting read all around. In 1948, a 21-year-old Peruvian mestizo man named Segundo Villanueva opened up his murdered father's trunk for the first time. It had been passed down through the generations of men in his family, right? So mestizo is someone who's mixed. However, every single person that was a part of this kind of group and conversion, I don't think all of them are terrorists. I have to, when you look at the floor, I think some of them have to be actual Jakes. But this man, Segundo Villanueva, very well could be, an Amalekite or an Edomite terror, right? But I think Jakes were among this thing. It had been passed down through the generations of men in his family. He was shocked to find an old copy of the Bible. He couldn't understand what he was doing there, as his family was Catholic and thus forbidden from owning Bibles. Only priests were allowed to read the holy book and convey its contents to the people. He understood, right? And that's how the Catholic Church, is wicked, man. So you get that salvation by joining up with them. You get that salvation by joining a priest. However, by confessing to a priest. But scriptures tell us, we're supposed to confess our sins to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Yahweh Yahushai. And also, we're also supposed to, the salvation is the salvation of your soul. So that's 2 Peter 1 and 10. That's the salvation. The salvation is being saved up in them chariots. You're not going to get saved on this side. It's just not going to happen. This old discovery changed the course of Villanueva's life, taking it on a highly unlikely arc from Varacocha, a small hamlet in the Andes where he was born in 1927, to the ancient Jewish cemetery of the Manasseh in Jerusalem, where in 2008 he was buried under the name of Zerubbabel Zedekiah, which I think is supposed to be Tazadakia, which I think means conqueror or musician or something. I could be wrong. Because Villanueva dared to open up that forbidden Bible and read it, he eventually ended up an observant Jew, after first trying out several lesser-known Christian and syncretic religious identities, right? So, as I said before, could be a Jake, he could not be. His father could have been a Jake or something. It could happen later on. It is 1927, so you never know. It could have been a Jake from Spain and popped his mommy or something. But, I don't know, man. Villanueva took many is along with him on a single-minded journey to understand the word of God as written in the Hebrew Bible. His genuine, unending search for the truth resulted in hundreds of Peruvian families converting to Judaism and living in Israel. They arrived in 3 small waves of Aliyah, immigration, between 1990 and 2006. And he also called things like the Aliyah, which is like immigration. So you have a great Aliyah. I think that was just a bunch of Amalekites moving into that land. But I believe some of these guys that came over here were actual Jakes, because you go scroll down and they're gonna show you some photos, and we got the dark skin and stuff like that, the brown skin. Not necessarily that you have to have dark skin to be a Jake, but when you have someone in that region and they look like the original people, the way that they used to look, then you kind of put 2 and 2 together. It's like, oh, that's an actual Asherite right there. That's Asherite, but it gets more complicated, because you could have an Asherite father who goes back to the original people, and he can just have a white mommy, and the kid can have a white mommy and so-called white mommy or Edomite mom. and the kid can come out lighter, and that's also an asteroid. So it's a little complicated. But let's pause for a second. So this is Romans 10:1. Brother, my heart desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. Pray for Israel, right? Because all about Israel. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of the Most High, but not according to knowledge, right? So that's what our people have. They have a zeal of the Most High, but not according to knowledge. And some of our people are like that. They believe that they're doing the right thing, but they're not doing it in knowledge, right? Like, say, Jake's that first coming to truth, and then they're listening to a bunch of different stuff. They may have good intentions, but they're mixing and matching their doctrine, and they're thinking that they're doing the right thing. They'll go into breakdowns that are off, and then pushing down off breakdowns. And I was watching one video, this old video by the brother who runs the Maccabean Spirits page, Malcolm, elder brother Malcolm. But he was talking about it. He mentioned some quote. He was talking about the Dan thing, guys kind of screwing up with the Dan thing. I don't know if these guys were in GMS. He was talking about someone else, and they had to get on him about it. It was like 6 years ago when this video was posted. Not that I was around 6 years ago. I started like 2 years ago, maybe. You could just scroll through my resume, and you see like I've been here for like 2 years. I call it my resume, but I'm being facetious. I'm making light of it, but it doesn't. It's nothing. 2 years is nothing, man. Like 2 years goes out like nothing. It's literally nothing. It has no value. I'm not saying that I'm somebody. I'm just saying that if you want the proof, you see you're bullshitting. Just go through my channels. I don't lie about. Well, I don't lie. Period. Not about this stuff. I lie to people in the world, but I don't lie about this. Back to this, right? So that's just the way Jake is, right? And they need to be pushed in the right direction. You got Jake's. It's easy to read on, right? For they being ignorant of the Most High's righteousness, going about to establish their own righteousness and not submit themselves to the righteousness of the Most High, right? So they go about establishing their own righteousness because they're thinking that what they're doing is right. And that's what the brother said. Malcolm, the brother Malcolm, he was like in that video. He said, the path to hell is littered with guys with good intentions. The path to hell is littered with good intentions. It was something like that. Like you could have good intentions with a thing. You could think you're doing the right thing, but at the end of the day, it'll lead to your own destruction because it's not what you think is right. It's what the Most High says is right. So some people, even with this whole thing going on in the Middle East, they think that defending this thing is doing what's right. They don't think that going against Yahushua is doing what's right, and that they're doing God's will by doing that, and it's going to lead to their own destruction. When all that happens. So we can get another. All right. So this is Romans chapter 2. Over under. So let's see. Patience. Jew sin, Jew first, also to the Gentile. Right, that's talking about something else, right? Pretty much how Yahushua came down to the Jews in Israel, in Israel, and eventually it was to pass on to the Israelite foreigners, and then that second Ezra, the first chapter, will explain that for you, as well as many others. It's all about Israel. So here's the Lord: just before God, with the doers of the law shall be justified. For as many as have sinned without the law shall perish without the law. For as many as sin in the law shall be judged by the law. Alright, we'll read that, and I'm going to go look at that in another translation. Romans 2:11. For there is no respect of persons with the Most High. Absolutely. For as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law. As many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. So let's go get that in another translation. Yeah, so Romans 2:12. When Gentiles sin, they will be destroyed, even though they never heard. The Most High has written law, and the Jews who do have God's law will be judged by the law, which when they fail to obey it. Exactly. Israelite foreigners will get judged, right? And then our people will get judged. if you apply to the nations too, yeah, they're going to get judged, but the law isn't made for them. They're not going to get it. They won't get it. It's not made for them to get it. It's just not for them. Not for them right now. Just not for them right now. In time, the law will be, forced upon everyone, because a life adherent to the law, statutes, and commandments is the only life worth living. Is the only life that is living. Everything else is, a shadow or less than. It's not true living. If you're not living a life that's suitable to the law, statutes, and commandments, you're living a life that's less than. And that's what we're living right now. We're living an empty life, a less than life. We're not able to keep the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our abilities. Our righteousness is filthy rags, but our only hope is pretty much through the blood of Yahweh Shai Mashiach, and being in that grace period and getting mercy. That is our only hope. So we know that already. You guys know that. This is info. Right, 13. For not the hearers of the law are just before the Most High, but the doers of the law shall be justified. Right, because it's not enough just to hear the law. You gotta do the law as well. But when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things which are contained in the law, these having not the law are law unto themselves. Right. So that's what happens to Jake. It's like foreigners. They had know the law, but they keep certain things, naturally, and then those people, those of them that the Lord calls out and causes to come into contact with brothers, pretty much causes them to get into this thing, and learn the fullness and understanding. Right. So it's true, the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience will bear witness, their thoughts to me, accuser. In the day shall judge the secrets of men. With that boast of God knows as well. Put things we instructed out of the law and are confident in the guide of the blind. The other four teach another. Yep. So the rest is pretty much to commit adultery, that whores gods, to commit sacrilege, that speaks both of the law, do breaking the law. Silence out God, the name of God's blood filed among the Gentiles through you is admitting. Keep the law, but if thou break the law, circumcision. Yeah, so that's pretty much what Romans 2 is talking about. Pretty much getting at the Jakes who are all about the law. That's pretty much what it's exposing. But you gotta do the law to the best of your ability, even though he's exposing doing the law. He's not saying that doers of the law shall be saved and stuff like that. He's not saying that you just go out and go off and just be a demon. He's saying you keep the law to the best of your ability, and that's like Romans, I think 6. Because we are under faith, because we are under mercy, do we sin? God forbid. We don't sin on purpose. So let's see if we can just find that real quick, because I butchered it. This should be easy to find. Come on. There you go. Romans 3 and 6. No, that's NLT version. Was it 3 and 6? Of course not. No. God forbid. NLT version. Is this what I just read? That was in the NLT version. Do we sin? Let's see. Maybe we'll just look at Romans. Yeah, come on, dude. So, Romans 6 and 1. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? Right? And if you read on, it's not really difficult to find. I just want to find it. For you brothers out there, God forbid, how should we that were dead to sin live any longer therein? Exactly. So what I want to get into, further on, I'm going to read a little bit more of this and I'm going to close out. Pretty much what's going on here is, Jake, being a law unto themselves. They thought that this was the right thing to do. But, we're going to pretty much keep reading on down. I'm going to skip ahead in a few minutes, a few words. This all discovery changed the course of it in the way of his life. Taking on likely, I read that already. Because Villanueva dared to open up that forbidden Bible and read it, he eventually ended up an observant Jew after first trying out several lesser-known Christian and Synecdoche religious identities. Right, and then yeah, and then pretty much this woman here, she says Jewish on her father's side, so she's, you know, Amalekite. Could be a Jake, but I doubt it. But you know, yeah, Amalekites are all in that region too, and not all of them are you know, actual original inhabitants. But yeah, but you see here, you know, some of these guys here, they look like actual Jakes, man. You know what I mean? So I doubt that every single one of these guys are Amalekites. They say, oh, well, they all want to be, you know, Jews, or they're all Amalekites. You know, well, you have Jakes that are in Africa that do that stuff, the Igbos. So, you know, this is just, you know, them being a law unto themselves, you know. So here you go. I got another family in here that start following it, and it talks about they start to like follow the laws, but yeah, they're going off because they're following the, you know, Amalekites and stuff. So yeah, for the third time in his life at 46, Segundo was hit with the full force of revelation brought on by the pages of a book. Here found his explanation. None of the prophets had said that the Messiah would come twice, first to fail and then to triumph. Jesus had not been and could not be the Messiah, right? He's going off with that, which that's what the woman is writing. His messianism had been a human invention, well mentioned but false. Then began the complicated politics of the Bene Moshe's conversion to Judaism and Aliyah to Israel, which is the name of the group. I don't know what that means. I mean, like Bon Moses. Any brothers out there, you know, you could probably go look it up. For the most part, I'm not gonna check it out right now. If I remember, I'll try to see what that means, do the translation. For the most part, the congregations of assimilated European descended Jews in Peru wanted nothing to do with the Ben Moshe, either doubting their intentions or discriminating against them because of racial background, social, economic status. So they started, you know, shitting on them, you know. So European descendant Jews, so the Edomites out there, they didn't want anything to do with them. Unaccepted and established synagogues, Villanueva and his people built their own shanty-style houses of prayer to use until they could officially convert and make Aliyah to Israel. When a conservative rabbi arrived in Peru to convert them, the Villanueva declined, saying, "Thank you, but we're looking for an Orthodox version." Right? Because, you know, they got their own different sects, which is, you know, wild. You know, how can two work together, you know, so they be agreed? So, you know, those guys shouldn't. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's wild. It's wild. You know, then you got Reformed, you know, and stuff like that, Reformed Judaism and stuff like that. Segundo, and it's the same thing with Islam. Islam has like a million different schools, man, but, you know, for us within Great Millstone and GMS affiliates, there was one way of thinking. There's one, you know, one story. We got our stuff straight. We all say the same thing. We may say it a little different here and there, but the same thing. At the end of the day, we're all saying the same thing. Segundo sent letters to rabbis and Jewish leaders in North America and Israel, hoping to get support for them. Most never answered. Some replied and visit, particularly religious Zionist rabbis who the Bnei Moshe as a possible source of Jews who could be settled in the West Bank to boost the Jewish population there. Right. And Minister, right. Yeah, so return to Minister examinations. On February 28th, 1990, Zedekiah and first group arrived in Israel. They were immediately taken to the Elon Moreh settlement in the northern West Bank. Many of them later relocated to the Kfar Tapawak settlement. Ultimately, two groups of proven converts to Judaism, the Bnei Abraham and the Inca Jews, arrived in Israel. Israel eventually put a stop to the immigration in 2006, when it started to look like many applicants were more interested in economic opportunity than being observant Jews, right? Which, you know, a little bit of a complicated situation. At one hand, they're really the ones that's supposed to be there. That's their land, you know, and you're telling them that they can't be there. But on a second note, you know, what are you guys doing here just to like bullshit and stuff? You know, so I could kind of get it. You don't want to let people in your country just to, you know, get up to a bunch of bullshit or just do nothing, you know. Because we were like that too, man. We were letting just, and just people just come into our shit. People just fuck around. You know what I mean? Or just like people just come in here and just like not do the law and not worship and just do all kinds of bullshit. We had order back then, man. We had to push it. We'll put people in order. What's gonna happen back in the kingdom. But either way, they're really not supposed to be in that land. Either way, the whole situation's a mess. Our people's not supposed to be in the land. Amalek's not supposed to be in that land. But the prophecy is for Amalek to be in that land. So really, technically, he's supposed to be in that land, even though it's not his land originally. It's really supposed to be his for now, according to prophecy. And our people, really, you shouldn't be in that land. And you shouldn't be involved with Judaism. Right, but I said before, law unto themselves. Right, Mishovsky says she doesn't think that the Ben Moshe were manipulated by those who settled them in the West Bank without giving them a choice of where to live. The Negroes raced at the time that the Ben Moshe arrived. They were seen as a lacking agency as a phenomenon, but I don't see them as pawns. Everyone involved had a agenda or goal, and the Ben Moshe had theirs. They figured out what was what and got what they wanted, and they were where they wanted to be. There's a success story, the author said. Right. Yeah, and that's pretty much the end of that. You don't really need to read the rest of that, But essentially, this is the account of Jake's going to their country, going to Israel and like living there. So it's not just, Judah and stuff that were going out there. You also had these Peruvians, Asherites that are going over there. And I was reading this book, Israel. That was Jewish History, Jewish Religion by Israel Shahak. And they mentioned it, and they talked about how like that area where they were settled in the West Bank, they actually moved like Palestinians out of there and put them there so they can have it. So as I said before, it's a whole mess, man. You know what I mean? It's a whole mess, and you're not supposed to be wearing like hats and stuff like that either way. But yeah. Well, we'll only had a flesh out one. That's it.